Welcome back. It's the Burns and Gambo show here on Arizona Sports. The local sports leader, Kellen Olson, is filling in for Gambo today, but Gambo took today off to go watch his kid play baseball at Corona del Sol, the JV team. We asked him if he could pop on for a couple of segments. One, to get his reaction to what's going on with the Suns and that humiliating loss last night in advance of Game 2 against the Clippers. But number two, to talk about what's going on with the Coyotes, because this is something, Kellen, that Gambo and I have been talking about for the better part of the last week, and it would seem that an idea that Gambo kind of had about how this might come to fruition might be one step closer to reality, because reports are out there right now that the Coyotes could be on their way to Salt Lake City. Gambo, what's the latest in terms of what you know?
Well, everything that we had talked about last week on this show, and a lot of times I put stuff out there as a hint to, hey, here's what's going to happen. The second I found out that Alex Morello had contacted people internally and then outside of the state to sell the team, I had a feeling something was up. Checked on it a bunch of different ways. And what we discussed last week, what I brought up was this scenario as the likelihood as what's going to happen, and that is that the team is sold to Ryan Smith in Salt Lake City, Utah. And that the Coyotes can continue to, they could keep their name and continue to try to get this land and arena built. And if they're able to do that, then Gary Bettman would grant them a expansion franchise down the road. It gets Bettman off of the uncertainty of having a team in a college arena for the next 3 or 4 years. I spoke with people in the Coyotes organization. I spoke with people in Salt Lake. I've spoken with people connected to the NHL offices, all about this. My understanding is ever since the Tempe vote went sideways, the league has wanted out of the Mullet Arena. They were terrified about a playoff scenario, and that it would not have been a really good look if this team had made the playoffs and they had to have games in a college arena. There are 3 scenarios, but the most likely, I'm told, is the one that we've reported and talked about since last week as being the most likely, and that is that they relocate to Salt Lake City and they have a team there, and that the Coyotes are able to maintain their name, Coyotes, and if they're able to get an arena built, well, then they can still get an expansion team. The other options are just to sell outright. You lose the team, you sell it outright. And the other one is to relocate it somewhere else temporarily and then get them back when the arena gets built. I've been told that staying at Mullet is not that much of an option. It's being discussed, but it is not something the NHL wants. So while people still holding out hope that they could stay in Mullet, the NHL has expressed a lot of concern about that. They don't want the team to stay at Mullet anymore. I think it's a long shot that could happen. I think the most likely scenario is what we talked about, the Salt Lake and possible expansion down the road.
Gambo, to offer the fan perspective here, a lot of people don't know this, but I grew up on Coyotes hockey. I remember going to America West Arena as a kid, seeing that moon come down, watching Keith Tkachuk, Jeremy Roenick, growing up on Danny Briere, watching Nikolai Hobbybulin in that. Like, I grew up on these teams. I grew up on hockey, and I am immensely frustrated by the developments that have occurred with this hockey team since it really started here. And my biggest question is, especially with the consistent and, to me, nauseating social media presence of this franchise, to continue to insist that they are here, located in the Valley, and they want to stay here. How long has this been in the works from all the reporting that you've been doing? Because it feels like, to me, something that has been in the works a lot longer than maybe we have been led on, but that's just my frustration showing, and I can admit that.
What I was told today was ever since the Tempe vote, like I said, went sideways, the league has been like, okay, that's it. They went out of Mullet. Now, they were still like hopeful that the Coyotes could do something, and I think they were targeting the beginning of the year, like January. But now with just more uncertainty, right? I mean, the Coyotes are even saying if we do get the land, and that's not going to be till the end of June, if we do get the land, we wouldn't have a shovel in the ground till a year from now. Well, that's another season that's gone past. And then, you'd be hopeful that 2 years later you could have an arena, but that might be unlikely with the area and no infrastructure to get something done in like 2 years and 3 months. So you're probably looking at another year. So I think at that point they've gone over these options with the team. I mean, it's not the easiest thing to have an owner sell a team. So, you got to really come to a conclusion here, like this is what's best for everybody. And I think that they have come to that conclusion, that this is what's best for everybody. Look, this is if this happens, I think it will happen April 18th. That's a date that's been floated to me numerous times. I brought it up on the show numerous times. It's the day after the season ends, and if Bettman announces it then, if this is going to happen, I think it's going to happen that day. But I want to touch on something else. Like that would be a sad day. Like that would be a really sad day. People will lose their jobs over this. That's not a good thing. Fans, are going to be very upset. The passionate fans that love the team, they're going to be very upset. So, this is in no way a good thing. But I do believe that everything that the Coyotes are putting out there on social media, committed to keeping Coyote hockey in the desert and building an arena in Phoenix, they are not saying that any of my reporting is wrong. They are not coming out and saying, this guy's crazy. He has no idea what he's talking about. That's never going to happen. I've spoken with people in the organization. They have confirmed to me that the option that I have brought up since last week is the most likely option. They're not saying it's going to happen, but they said the option that I brought up last week is the most likely option. People in that organization have told me that.
Yeah.
But with them saying, really quick, with them saying that they want to keep hockey in the desert, I still think that, they're not lying, Kellen. They're basically saying, we do. We want to keep hockey in the desert. We want to build an arena and maybe get an expansion team.
And that's the question that I probably have going forward is certainly, I think like a lot of people, I feel like this is it. After this long saga, and it has been a long, drawn-out saga, this feels like the end. Like it is over and that they are going to leave based off the reporting that you and others have done. I guess, and I don't know if you know the answer to this or if you want to speculate on the answer to this, that open door of, hey, if they can get the land and they can build the arena, an expansion team would come. How viable is that?
Very.
I mean, like it's. I don't mean the league's decision. I mean the Coyotes' ability to finally see this through and get the land and build the thing. That's the part about it I have questions about the viability of. I have no doubt.
I understand.
I have no doubt that the league would love to have a team here and would love to have a team here in an arena situation that's settled. I'm worried about the front end of the equation. I'm worried about the Coyotes' ability to get this done. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, my understanding is that they are committed to trying to win the land, putting the $67 million down and winning that and then building on it. And, they have to have an arena to build everything else. So my understanding is that it's still very committed to that. Now, could Alex Murillo take $1 billion or whatever it's going to be and walk away and just be done with it? Maybe. I mean, you still have to win the land bid in June. And then you still have to be committed to building that gigantic project. And I don't know, if that's able to go through or not. But I continue to be told that they want to try to win this land bid and they still want to be able to build an arena and that the NHL would grant them. The NHL is going to expand, and they're going to expand by 2 teams, one in the East, one in the West. I think Atlanta's going to get one again. And that would go to Phoenix to Arizona. If they're able to get the land in the arena, they would get one. I still have not heard, Bernsey, that's it. We're taking our money and we're done. We're out of here. No, my understanding is that they still want to try to get the project done, the land and the arena, and then see if they can get an expansion team if this goes through the way we have talked about it.
Gambo, to me, what's really going to sting in particular is if this comes to fruition, and let's say that this situation that you have on the horizon potentially does come to fruition, and the Coyotes do exist in another entity. But can you guys imagine if they go to Salt Lake, and all of a sudden all those moves that Bill Armstrong has been making, and all that long-term talent that Coyotes fans had to sit through and be miserable with, now the Salt Lake City team gets to be like, oh, look at all these great young players and all this great young talent, and they get to bear the fruit and get to see everything come to fruition.
And draft picks.
And draft picks and the whole thing, and it would just be... To me, Gambo, it would be fitting because, like I said, it has been so frustrating to be a hockey fan here, and we were so lucky to have Shane Doan as a leader of the organization in so many ways, to be that voice of reason and to be that person standing up for this. And with him gone, it's just been really hard to have like that belief and confidence. Like, I don't know if you agree, but just I used to always believe when Shane would say these things, and I would believe that hockey was going to stay here, but I just don't have that belief anymore, and it has a lot to do with that, honestly.
Someone in the organization today told me that it's you've had to deal with the sins of the past, and all the the bankruptcy and the changing of the hands and playing in all these different places and Los Arcos and then Tempe, and it's just. You were dealt a bad hand, and it was hard to deal with that. But if there is a sentiment that starting over you could start over fresh. This was told to me today that you're dealing with the sins of the past has been very difficult, and there's a possibility, a sentiment that if you start over, you'd get a fresh start, and that may be the way to go. I think the gig's up on playing in a college arena for 4 or 5 more years. I just don't think the NHL is going to allow it. So I think the scenario we painted, like I said, this is the most likely scenario from what I've been told. Now, there are other scenarios out there, but this is the most likely.
All right. Gambo, you got a baseball game to go watch, and I'm not talking about the Diamondbacks because they already played. Go watch your kid play baseball, and we'll have you back on the show. We'll have you back on the show tomorrow because it's your show, so you'll be back on tomorrow. Enjoy your pills. Try to relax. Good, calming family time, Gambo.
Owners and general managers listening, don't do anything. Let Gambo relax the rest of the day. My goodness, do not make a trade. Do not buy land anywhere. Don't relocate. Everyone just chill out. Let this man have a day off.
Be just like Devin Booker, man. We're just chilling. Let Gambo chill.
Everyone needs to chill.
Just chill.
I always have to work on my off days. Tell Brian Long I want my vacation day back.
Good vibes only, chilling. Those are our two mottos here.
All right, Gambo.
Have a great day, boys.
Thanks, guys.
Sounds good.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona Sports.